Second round of the training in just a moment here. So back to you, and we'll be checking in through Tuesday with voters like this with more from the field.
All right, sounds good. MSNBC's Tony Jacopo. Tony, thanks. We want to bring in now Lansing, Michigan's Mayor Verge Bernero, a Democrat. Good to have you with us, sir.
Great to be with you.
I want to start off talking about, because as we know, of course, your votes are coming up in just a matter of days. There's been a lot of focus when we talk about Michigan these days about the situation in Flint. Some of the removal process started yesterday. We saw some of those lead pipes. Can you give us an update this morning on how that's going?
Well, the Mayor Weaver is leading the charge to remove all the lead pipes, to get the lead out, if you will. There's still debate about where the money will come from because it's not all committed to get the job done. There's a debate at the federal level about, I know Senator Stabenow is trying to get, I think, another $200 million into Flint. Getting the pipes out is probably the easy thing. It can be done in a year. We're helping them at the Lansing, from the Lansing Board of Water and Light with the technique that we've developed to move quicker and with less cost. But you've got nutrition issues, you've got education issues for the kids, for the families that have been damaged, and the state government and the federal government needs to make that up because big mistakes were made at the state level with MDEQ, the Department of Environmental Quality, and some mistakes were made by the EPA. And so the state government and the federal government has to make that whole. If you break it, you buy it. And I would say that process is just beginning, that the fix, the recovery is just beginning. We can have a flourishing Flint. We should have a flourishing Flint. I hope that's part of what the debate will be about. Hillary Clinton has been to Flint. She is committed to that. And it's not just Flint. To go beyond Flint, the story here is about infrastructure. It is about failing infrastructure in our cities around the country. And that needs to be addressed by all the candidates of both parties. That's not a partisan issue. It used to be that infrastructure, highways, byways, bridges, sewers, that used to be a bipartisan issue, and it should be again.
Oh, it's something that we heard Donald Trump bring up a few debates ago. You mentioned that it is not a bipartisan issue. Do you feel like there has been enough said about the crisis in Flint and its greater impact? We know we've heard about it from the Democrats, but have we heard about it from the other side enough? And how do you get that conversation going?
That's a great question. I think the Democrats, by bringing the debate to Flint physically, will help. But, you know, there's one of the leaders in the Congress, I forget the Republican, who said, well, it's overblown. Anybody who says Flint is overblown does not get it, has not been on the ground in Flint. It is like a neutron bomb where the people are destroyed, but the buildings stand. You know, if you don't have water, it's one of the most basic elements of life. And these people can't rely on water. We took the lead pipes out of a house where a couple is living there and she's pregnant. And of course, lead, there is no safe level of lead for children. So we need to address the issue of infrastructure. These lead pipes are around the country and they need to be removed. There is failing infrastructure around this country. And when you don't have water, you're quickly basically bombed back into the third world status. And no city in America should have to face that. And again, it should not be a partisan issue. And you know, in Michigan, we're about making things. We make the things that make America great. We're still the home of Ford, Chrysler, and of course General Motors, especially here in Lansing. And so we can do this. We've got the know-how. It just takes the political will and the resources. You know, I give President Obama credit. He had the so-called stimulus package. He was starting to invest in the infrastructure, and then it became a political issue. And I really believe it should not be a partisan issue. Democrats and Republicans drive on the roads and need good water and need all the infrastructure that makes life and commerce possible.
So to your point then, folks in Michigan make things, which we are all very familiar with, of course, and your point that this should not be a partisan issue. How do you then make it not a partisan issue? How do you bring together lawmakers, not just on the state level there and the local level in your state of Michigan, but also on a broader national level? Is there a way to make this a conversation that is not partisan?
One way is by talking to you and how we talk about it, how you as a journalist talk about it, and how we as mayors talk about it. This weekend I'm going to the National League of Cities, and I'm launching with mayors from around the country a manufacturing initiative. I've done a lot of work on manufacturing with the U.S. Conference of Mayors. The U.S. Conference of Mayors talks about infrastructure. I have virtually never heard a partisan comment from the U.S. Conference of Mayors. When mayors get together, we don't worry about Democrat or Republican. And if the American people, even the militia folks, even the the militia folks who were just on. They need infrastructure. They need roads and sewers. It's the kind of stuff that binds us together as Americans. You know, when Eisenhower built the highways, when he led the way, he was a Republican. Republicans and Democrats came together. I believe it can happen again. I don't believe this is pie in the sky. I think when the American people demand an end to the nonsense, when the American people demand an end to the talk about how big your hands are and how big your ears are and what your hair looks like, when the American people say it's time to have adults and we want these problems addressed, then the politicians will get with it. Now, the mayors are doing that because mayors tend to focus on what works. We don't care, frankly, about the partisanship. I'm a strong advocate for Hillary Clinton. I think she's going to be great. But regardless of who wins, I will be pushing for bipartisan solutions to the very real problems and challenges that we face. And the problems are not bigger than us. We can do this. This is America, for God's sakes. We've done it before, and we can do it again.
Mayor Virg Bernero, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.